Imagine signing a piece of paper so devastating that it forces an entire thousand-year-old institution to rewrite its own constitutional rules just to save you from yourself. That is exactly what is allegedly unfolding right now behind the heavily fortified gates of Buckingham Palace, where a seemingly invisible legal trap has just been sprung, leaving the entire world absolutely speechless. Startling new reports claim that a highly classified internal investigation has unearthed a terrifyingly precise marital stipulation, hidden deep within the amended marriage agreement of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, that has sent absolute shockwaves through the monarchy. But what exactly is buried inside this secretive document? And why did Buckingham Palace just issue an unusually forceful, unprecedented public statement declaring that no member of the royal family, past or present, may ever be commercially leveraged without the sovereign's direct consent? The answer opens up a massive mystery about who truly owns Prince Harry's past, present, and future. And it all comes down to something royal insiders are reportedly calling page 14, clause 7. According to these explosive but unconfirmed rumors, this single clause changes absolutely everything we thought we knew about their relationship and their business empire. You see, any marital or private contract attempting to license or monetize royal identity is now allegedly being reviewed, challenged, and rejected by the Crown in real time. But to understand the absolute chaos happening right now, we have to look at the secret architects of this massive institutional investigation, because the people who uncovered this are not who you might expect. Sources claim that none other than the famously no-nonsense Princess Anne, alongside the incredibly sharp Lady Louise Windsor, secretly spearheaded a strictly confidential internal audit of Harry and Meghan's corporate and marital documentation. What they allegedly found was not just a standard prenuptial arrangement, but something they reportedly described to King Charles and Prince William as a masterful architecture of control. Every single time you look deeper into this alleged contract, you realize just how incredibly deep this rabbit hole goes. Princess Anne allegedly discovered that Clause 7 reportedly grants Meghan complete and absolute intellectual property control over Prince Harry's entire personal narrative. Yes, you heard that right. His own life story is allegedly no longer his to tell. According to these incredible claims, Harry allegedly cannot publish a book, grant a television interview, participate in a documentary, or even publicly discuss his own life experiences without obtaining express written approval from his wife. It is basically the ultimate invisible leash. How did a prince of the realm allegedly sign away his own voice without even having independent legal counsel present? The sheer legal audacity is almost impressive, and honestly, it is a brilliant reminder to always read the terms and conditions before you sign anything, folks. But wait, because the moment you finally understand this alleged narrative capture, a brand new, even more alarming question pops up. Was this simply an accident of paperwork, or was this a meticulously planned exit strategy from the very beginning? To find that out, royal investigators allegedly had to look backward into Meghan's past, specifically analyzing her previous divorce from producer Trevor Engelson, which revealed a pattern that the palace reportedly found deeply concerning. According to the narrative being spun by inside sources, Meghan's approach to legal dissolution is incredibly precise, highly calculated, and completely unsentimental. Reports claim she preemptively re-engaged Sunshine Sachs, a powerhouse public relations firm famously known for navigating high-stakes celebrity splits, long before any cracks in the current marriage were publicly visible. This is where you get a massive hit of realization that changes how you view their entire media empire. The monarchy allegedly began to suspect that every move, every camera angle, and every recorded argument was essentially strategic data collection. Think about that behind-the-scenes Netflix footage that the world watched so eagerly. Sources allege that those highly intimate recordings of Harry were not just gathered for heartwarming storytelling. They were reportedly amassed to serve as potential legal leverage in the event of a future separation. And just when you think you have grasped the sheer scale of this media strategy, another massive revelation drops regarding a hidden Netflix contract clause known as a narrative rights transfer upon dissolution. What does that mean for Harry if the marriage actually ends? According to the rumors, it means Meghan would retain sole editorial authority over all their joint content, leaving him completely locked out of his own life story, unable to edit or challenge how he is portrayed to the public. But the intellectual property is only half the battle, because what is allegedly happening with their actual money is somehow even more shocking, and it is going to make you question everything about their recent business moves. Where did all those multi-million-dollar streaming deals actually go? It is alleged that starting around 2022, a systematic corporate restructuring quietly began to completely separate Meghan's financial and intellectual property interests from Harry's. If you follow the paper trail, it supposedly leads straight to Delaware, the corporate loophole capital of America. When you dig into the corporate filings, the level of absolute secrecy is genuinely astonishing. Delaware is famous worldwide for allowing corporations to operate behind an impenetrable veil of anonymity, which makes it the absolute perfect place to hide assets if you are allegedly preparing for a massive financial separation. Sources claim her highly publicized lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, is solely owned through a Delaware LLC, completely isolating it from joint marital assets. Because nothing says true love quite like a completely insulated corporate entity, right? By routing all of her new ventures through these highly shielded entities, Meghan reportedly ensured that the monarchy's traditional financial auditors could not easily track the incoming revenue streams. Furthermore, podcast and media contracts allegedly began nomming her as the sole IP holder. Archewell's internal structure was reportedly shifting too, gradually removing Harry from financial oversight and key decision-making authority. As someone who analyzes these media maneuvers daily, I have to admit, from a pure business standpoint, it is a fascinating strategy in asset protection, even if it allegedly leaves Harry looking like a sidelined employee in his own company. It is alleged that Meghan strategically embedded legal provisions to classify these new assets as pre-joint revenue, expertly shielding them from California's notoriously strict community property laws. Princess Anne reportedly called this legal warfare dressed in civility, which is perhaps the most painfully accurate description of high society litigation I have ever heard in my life. But if Meghan was allegedly building an impregnable financial fortress, how on earth could the British monarchy possibly strike back against a private California contract? The answer came in the form of a highly confidential palace memo that was reportedly slipped to Prince Harry, and the contents of this memo are enough to make anyone's jaw absolutely drop. The Crown allegedly warned Harry that initiating any kind of divorce proceedings under the current legal framework would leave him entirely devastated, both financially and legally. The stakes were laid out with chilling, undeniable clarity. According to reports, the immense risks included losing his massive Montecito estate, forfeiting all his equity stakes in Archewell, and facing a catastrophic loss of custodial leverage over his own children due to his complex United States residency status. On top of all that, he would reportedly be permanently barred from ever publishing another memoir or speaking publicly about his royal life without facing severe litigation. Suddenly, the entire trap makes perfect sense, and Harry is allegedly boxed into a corner with no way out. But just as the walls seemed to be fully closing in on him, the king allegedly decided to flip the entire chessboard. How does a monarch overrule a modern legal contract? By leaning on 1,000 years of sovereign authority, of course. The monarchy reportedly shifted overnight from passive concern to aggressive, active countermeasures. King Charles allegedly suspended all institutional collaborations involving Harry immediately and issued a sweeping, absolute embargo on any third-party content that could trigger narrative disputes. Royal legal advisors reportedly began drafting what they securely call a sovereign override. This is described as a massive legal maneuver designed to completely nullify Clause 7's authority over anything derived from royal experiences. It is basically the Crown formally declaring that you cannot copyright our family history, no matter what a private document claims. But every action has a massive reaction, and the immediate fallout of the king's embargo allegedly triggered a catastrophic financial crisis in California that nobody saw coming. You have to wonder, without the royal connection constantly fueling the headlines, what is actually left to sell? According to these wild, unconfirmed reports, the sprawling Montecito estate is allegedly teetering on the very edge of foreclosure due to a massive, high-interest bridge loan that can no longer be serviced without the royal revenue stream. Archewell's media ventures are described as practically collapsing overnight, with whispers heavily suggesting that Netflix is outright canceling future projects, and the entire podcast division is shutting down for good. The public relations machine is allegedly faltering, and Meghan's once ubiquitous media presence is reportedly diminishing as the Hollywood elite quietly distance themselves from the growing controversy. It is a stunning, almost unbelievable reversal of fortune, but it leaves an incredibly sensitive and deeply emotional issue hanging in the balance. What happens to the children, Archie and Lilibet, amidst this unprecedented institutional warfare? This is where the story takes a turn that sounds straight out of a historical thriller, but is allegedly playing out right now in modern times. The Crown reportedly invoked something called the Windsor Protection Protocol. This is described as an ancient but newly updated sovereign mandate aimed specifically at shielding royal minors from unauthorized media exploitation. According to sources, Archie and Lilibet's names were allegedly removed from the official royal genealogy page by direct sovereign order. This wasn't a petty slight. It was allegedly a highly calculated, protective institutional separation designed to sever commercial ties. Furthermore, all licensing rights for any merchandise tied to their royal status were reportedly revoked instantly, cutting off a massive potential revenue stream. It is alleged that the palace then implemented a highly futuristic measure known as biometric vaulting. This reportedly involves completely securing all official images, voice recordings, and footage of the royal children in a secure digital vault to categorically prevent any artificial intelligence exploitation or commercial misuse by third parties. Think about how wild that is. The monarchy is essentially copyrighting the literal faces and voices of its heirs to protect them from being monetized in a potential future custody battle. A sovereign decree was then allegedly issued declaring that any private contracts attempting to silence or license royal lineage are fundamentally incompatible with Crown continuity. The domino effect of this unprecedented decree was supposedly instantaneous and completely brutal across the entertainment industry. Major streaming platforms allegedly began rapidly adjusting their metadata on all Sussex-related content, quietly scrubbing away references to royal inspiration to avoid the Crown's legal wrath. Strict disclaimers reportedly started appearing on screens, stating clearly that Sussex media projects are completely unaffiliated with the British Crown. The monarchy was formally asserting institutional narrative ownership over its own ceremonial history and the lived experiences of royal service, drawing a line in the sand that cannot be crossed. In my personal opinion, while this endless drama is absolutely exhausting for the public to witness, it is deeply fascinating to watch a traditional, centuries-old institution use modern legal strategies so effectively to protect its legacy. Though I genuinely hope that beneath all this corporate warfare, the family eventually finds some true peace and healing. But the saga does not end there, because with his media empire allegedly crumbling and his narrative rights locked away in a legal vault, where could Prince Harry possibly go to escape the fallout? According to the final pieces of this intricate, alleged puzzle, Harry is portrayed as having temporarily relocated back to the safety of Windsor, seeking sanctuary and demanding a comprehensive, independent review of literally every single contract he has signed since 2020. Sources describe him as emotionally devastated, finally realizing the full extent of the contractual oversight that reportedly cost him his personal autonomy. However, this dark, isolated moment is also described as his absolute turning point. Under the fierce, unwavering protection of Princess Anne and the meticulous guidance of Lady Louise, Harry is allegedly beginning the grueling, incredibly complex process of legally reclaiming his own voice. The absolute climax of this entire ordeal reportedly culminated in a formal, historic sovereign declaration from King Charles himself, broadcasted through the actions of the palace. This declaration allegedly nullified the commercial enforceability of Clause 7 entirely, at least in any matters derived from royal service. The monarchy firmly asserted that royal lineage simply cannot be licensed, traded, or monetized through private marital contracts without explicit sovereign ratification. The public reaction to this alleged constitutional showdown has been nothing short of explosive across every social media platform. Media headlines across the globe are reportedly framing the moment as the monarchy decisively reclaiming its sovereignty from the relentless grips of Hollywood commercialism. Hashtags are trending worldwide, dissecting every alleged legal maneuver, while streaming giants continue to rapidly distance themselves from the chaotic fallout. And through all of this deafening, global noise, Meghan reportedly remains conspicuously silent, perhaps carefully strategizing her next legal move, or perhaps realizing that the impenetrable fortress she allegedly built has finally met a historical force it simply cannot litigate against. The entire narrative concludes with a deeply symbolic and highly orchestrated public appearance that sent a clear message to the world. Princess Catherine was reportedly seen stepping out publicly with the royal children, including a highly significant, beautiful appearance with Lilibet, signaling absolute institutional unity, and forming an unbreakable shield of protection around the family's youngest members. According to the script playing out in the public eye, the monarchy has successfully constructed what royal insiders are now calling a permanent Windsor firewall, completely reclaiming its historic legacy and ensuring, once and for all, that royal history can never again be commercially exploited by anyone, no matter what secret stipulations they try to hide on page 14.